So, I actually love the Eternals. The Eternals is one of Marvel's poorly rated movies by reviewers, and because I didn't see it in theaters, I had to wait for the digital release, and honestly, I wish I hadn't. I wonder if my stance on the movie would have been different, but I honestly don't think so. I actually saw Justice League at the movies, and I had a pretty high opinion about it, till I rewatched it and saw how much it sucked, so I guess I can't trust my judgment after watching the movie at the theater. The Eternals are not very popular among casual fans, but if you're a nerd like me or read the comics a lot, you probably have heard of them. But even still, I wouldn't call myself an expert. I hadn't really read any of their stories before this video, and I just knew of their existence due to their appearance in other media because they didn't really seem at all interesting for me. So when the movie was announced, I did my research about them to get versed in their lore, to know what I was getting into. I finally watched the movie. And I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. I believe maybe it was because I didn't have any expectations or actually didn't know what to expect. But I enjoyed it so much, I actually watched it 3 times. And I still didn't get why people said it was bad. Did it have its issues? Yes, of course. Every movie has its issues, but it did not break the experience for me. I have to admit, the movie starts off a bit slow, but it actually picks up later. Our Eternals are made up of 10 people, which of course will not be able to use the span of a 2-hour movie to develop every single character well. So some of the characters will obviously have to take the back seat. So our Eternals are Ajax, Icarus, Cersei, Sprite, Kingo, Drake, Phastos, Athena, Gilgamesh, and Makari, which again are divided into 2 groups, the fighters and the thinkers. My personal favorites were Gilgamesh, Druig, and Makari. And given how little their importance was in the movie, they actually caught my attention. Cersei is the main protagonist of this movie, played by the lovely Gemma Chan. While Gemma is one of my favorite celebrity crushes, I may have overlooked any flaws in the writing of her character on the first watch, but even so, it wasn't so bad. The story revolves around the themes of love and family, and to be honest, I kinda liked it. I think they did a really good job. The theme of love felt shoehorned into the movie, but I felt it would have hit more notes for the people if the movie was a bit longer, or better yet, was made into an 8 to 10 episode Disney Plus series. But then again, the movies make more money, and looking at the visuals, it would have been pretty expensive, but it would have been able to touch on every Eternal who was important to the story, helping us, the viewers, connect to them a bit more. There was a line in the trailer which said, "When you love something, you protect it." And Cersei's whole gig was about her loving the earth and the people on it. Her first lines were, "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Whilst looking at the earth. It was to be said, out of the whole group, she was the one who loved the humans the most, and without limited 2-hour runtime, we get to see how she enjoyed being with the humans, drenching herself in their culture and everything. Heck, even our modern culture where she spends time on social media like a millennial, she even found love here in Icarus and Dane. So after finding out the truth of their purpose, she had the most to lose, or at least that's what they were going for. But looking at some of the others like Kingo and Phastos and how they were written in, would make it seem like they had a lot more to lose than Cersei, looking at their relationships and what they have built over the years. Kingo has Karun and his Bollywood team, while Phastos has his husband and a kid. Heck, even Drake has a place he calls home in the Amazon, with people who look up to him. But we didn't see her have something that she really wanted to hold on to, that she didn't want to die, except Dane and the people of Earth. But that characterization would affect a character like Ajax, who showed motherly love to both the Eternals and the people of Earth. But I kinda like the family dynamic they had going on. In my exclusive opinion, I think the Eternals is about family. We didn't really get enough time to see it, but I kind of felt it. I like how they related to each other. They all cared for each other in some way, and I honestly love it. Ajax being like the mother in the group, caring for all her children. Athena and Gilgamesh being like the big brother and sister to the whole group. Icarus and Drake having the best sibling rivalry, with Icarus being mother's favorite, to Kingo being the family clown. and Sprite, the little sister, etc, etc. I honestly dig it, and I wish they didn't kill almost half of them by the end of the story, because I don't know for you guys, but I actually enjoyed seeing them together. So the trip to bring them back together for me was a treat. Seeing what they did with their lives after all these years, and the pain of having to leave it all behind, to join their family, to save the world, was actually kinda great. And to be honest, Karun said it best: life affords no greater duty than to protect one's family. Druig was an unexpected hit for me. Usually I like Superman-esque type characters, so naturally I thought I would vibe more with Icarus. But don't get me wrong, I still do like Icarus. It's just for having such a minor role in the narrative, he kinda stole the scenes he was in, and some of the characters seem to be intimidated by him, probably because of how unusually close he gets to you while he talks. He was of course the black sheep of the family, and him clashing with Icarus was always a pleasure since he was mother's favorite. Druig also had this flirty chemistry with Makari, which I really dig, because Makari is such a beautiful soul. I really dig her character, and it's funny because I think she got the least screen time, but seeing how every word she spoke or signed just felt so beautifully genuine, or how optimistic she is, literally got me entranced with her. She loves her family, and she cares for the things she loves. She has this thing where she's talking about something, and she just takes a moment to take it all in. It's just beautiful. Okay, enough about me gushing over Makari. Let's talk about Icarus. When I first saw the trailer, I saw Richard Madden, and I said, yep, that's my guy. Because I'm a Superman nut, so seeing the kind of Marvel-like version of him got me really hyped up. Well, Marvel has other Superman-esque type characters, but they kept on making Superman jokes, which really was funny.
Dad, that's Superman with the cape, and you're shooting laser beams out of your eyes.
Icarus was a loyal soldier. He was loyal to a fault, so loyal that it actually led to his downfall. Icarus fell in love with Cersei, but he still put his mission first. It took Ajax to tell him that it was okay for him to be with Cersei before he even made an attempt at a commitment. But even so, he wasn't fully committed. He broke up with Cersei after 5,000 years because he couldn't bring himself to tell her of their true mission. Icarus is the most powerful among the Eternals due to his array of powers. He was most likely Ajax's successor for the title of the Prime Eternal, but after Ajax told him the truth and her plan to stop Tiamat emerges, he killed her. And before she died, she was sorry she led him astray. Due to his loyalty to Arishem and the mission, he barely made any connections on Earth. Chloe Zhao cleverly hid it by having him come to them rather than them to him, which would lead you to wonder. Except for the love of Cersei and the mission, there wasn't anything keeping him tethered to Earth, and his inability to connect with the people of Earth made him the perfect antagonist for the movie. Every Eternal had something they cared about, be it connected to the Earth or not. Cersei and her love for the people, Phastos and his husband and kid, Sprite wanting to be human, to grow, to live, to love. Heck, even Druig had his little tribe in the Amazon. Icarus had none of these things, only Cersei and the mission. No self-worth. He didn't even believe that his life was worth any value, so looking at the scene where he proposed to Cersei, he stated, "I am yours if you have me," completely surrendering himself to her, which also led him to fly into the sun after he lost his purpose. I honestly don't think it was guilt he was feeling. Knowing him, it was probably due to the fact that they destroyed everything he worked for, and he couldn't even bear to stay after all he sacrificed, even though they would probably have forgiven him. Cersei always wondered why she was chosen to lead and not Icarus, but the truth was, she was chosen because of her love for the planet, and with that, she had more stakes. So naturally, she was the best pick in order to save the planet, or at least to stop the emergence. It's a shame Icarus had to go, but seeing him trying and failing to fight Cersei actually got me. He wasn't bad, he just had different morals and ideologies, and even though they were misguided, you will still see him struggling to fight his family members because he loves them. Well, except for Druig, he really let that dude have it. But even so, his conflict was between his family and his purpose, and he chose his purpose. Sprite was kind of interesting for me. She was a low-key tragic character. She wanted to have what the humans had. She wanted to grow and live life, fall in love, have a relationship, but she couldn't. She was designed as a kid and destined to stay that way forever. For a girl, that would kind of hurt because the other Eternals were in their prime stages of their life, so they can have those things, but she can't. She can't have those things because she can't grow. Her mind has far surpassed her body, but her eternal youth is her burden. She often questioned why her creator made her that way, but even the Eternals didn't know the answer. She watched how Icarus and Circe fell in love to be together for thousands of years, while she could only sit and watch. Gilgamesh had Athena, Druig had Makari, heck, even Phastos had his family. It was frustrating. She loved her family, but everyone seemed to have someone or something they cared about, but it seemed like she was destined to depend on them for all eternity. Her love was forbidden, but every now and then she gets to admire him from afar, longing his love. It was crazy because Kingo picked up on it and explained it to us using the Peter Pan story, where Icarus is Peter, Circe is Wendy, and she is Tinkerbell, who loves Peter but can't have him. But it's also kind of crazy because her name Sprite in folklore is referred to mystical fairy-like creatures, just like Tinkerbell. So when Icarus betrayed the group, it was natural for her to follow him. She always preferred Icarus to Circe anyways, and she could finally be with the person she loves, till the end at least. Honestly, she did nothing wrong. She just wanted a bit of that romantic love, which she has been thirsting for all these years. And when the chance presented itself, she took it. Thankfully, her family understood her plight and did not hold it against her, finally having her wish granted by Circe to be human. I hope she retains her powers though. I like Gilgamesh for reasons I can't put to words, but let me try. He's an overall nice guy. He's just nice to be around. A carefree spirit, if you will. He's also funny, but not all the time, and can get serious when he has to. He has a good heart, which we can see in his love for Athena and his family. And he doesn't do too much, since he's not one of the main characters, so he never overstays his welcome. And when he was on screen, he served his purpose well, like giving advice to Circe to help her talk to Arishem. So, for what we got and the little screen time we had, I liked seeing him and the way he interacts with his family. My only problem was about his power. I personally think he should have been stronger though. So about their powers, I was honestly disappointed seeing how strong they were. I honestly thought they would be stronger. The Eternals were supposed to have like a base power each of them all had, with their special power being the one that's amplified due to their affinity to use that power. Well, Ares from Variant Comics said it best.
The Eternals are essentially gods, so their powers are pretty vast and incredible, but vary from eternal to eternal. Their body cells contain cosmic energy, and they maintain constant control over every molecule of their bodies. Also, like their namesake, they're virtually immortal and can be restored to life even if their molecules of their bodies have been scattered. As a standard, all Eternals possess the capacity for superhuman strength, flight, telepathy, teleportation, illusion casting, transmutation of organic and inorganic matter, and the generation of various forms of energy from their bodies, including force, heat, light, and other electromagnetic radiation. Now, with the Eternals having all these powers, they usually choose to specialize on one particular power, which in turn makes them an expert in that power, but makes their other powers a little weaker.
It was hinted that each of them was a bit stronger than your average human, but that was it. And for godlike creatures like these, I honestly wanted more. The Eternals had some moral ambiguous themes which were the topic of discussion in the final act of the movie. Their mission was to protect humans from the deviants, who were halting human progression. They weren't supposed to interfere in any wars or human activities in order for them to progress naturally. But the truth was, that was actually a lie. Human beings love, therefore they are prone to hate, which leads to wars, and wars leads to advancement in technology and medicine. This was the goal, the reason they weren't allowed to interfere in any of the human matters, to enable the rapid development of the human race, to speed up the emergence of the sleeping celestial Tiamat. But then again, is it wrong though? If Tiamat emerges, billions of new life and species will be born, by the cost of a few billion on Earth. If the humans were given a chance, of course they wouldn't want to sacrifice their life for others to come. We are selfish, but even still, is it worth it? The price was too high to pay. They had families and friends here after all, and it would be hard for them to give it all up. The moral dilemma for trading lives would be morally incorrect and could have been expanded on a bit, but for what it was worth, I feel they made do with what they had. Maybe it would have disrupted the pace, and I don't know. I did have an issue with Kengo here though. He seemed to be willing to help his family thanks to Karun's motivation, but he backed out at the end, which didn't make sense for me. He was loyal to Icarus and his cause and refused to hurt his family, but if anyone should drop out, I didn't think it would be him of all people. He has so much here. He built his own Bollywood empire and people look up to him and his supposed family, so why? If anything, I thought he would want to protect those things, or at least the connections he's made. He did say people are dependent on him, so why the sudden change of heart? Anyways, I love the movie, but it does have its issues. But I like what we're going for. I personally don't think it was bad as people say. It definitely could have been better. Even still, I enjoyed the family dynamic they had going on. And it was nice seeing them come together once again. The movie had pretty good visuals and was very nice to look at. And if it was up to me, it would have been a Disney Plus show. It would have been pretty expensive, but Marvel has the money. They could have made it work, but then again, the box office movies make more money, so I will settle for a 3-hour long movie if it would have helped. Anyways, thanks for watching. Who is your favorite Eternal? What was your favorite scene in the movie? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and remember, Zach is the blueprint. No, I'm just kidding. Don't forget to keep moving forward.